Have you ever seen some guy on TV or YouTube when they're playing 9-ball and they're making the game look really easy? To them, it's not really much of an effort. They just fire the ball in and the cue ball pretty much goes where they want it to go. And even when they're playing 8-ball, they just run around the table and to them everything is easy. And it really doesn't matter if they're using a lot of English, drawing the cue ball, using high, doesn't matter if they're banking balls in, or even if they're kicking at balls. To them, the game has become easy. Now, do these guys know something you don't know? Well, the truth is they do. They probably know a lot you don't know. And that's what this video is all about. So what separates this video from all the other videos out on YouTube and the internet is this video has one goal in mind, and that's to make the game easy for you. And I'm going to show you a lot of secrets that are really going to supercharge your game. For instance, did you know that even if you're going to shoot a ball with English, you don't have to aim with English? Here I'm aiming center ball, but I'm able to spin the cue ball around the table. The next time you have a ball frozen on the rail, I'm going to show you a little secret that you do with a cue ball that makes the object ball stick like glue to that rail. I'm also going to show you how to run out a rack of 9-ball without using left or right English. This will be an absolute game changer for your 9-ball game. The next time you have a bank shot that seems impossible or looks like a double kiss, I'm going to show you a secret that involves moving your hand towards your body. I'm going to show you a secret to really thin cut shots that involves aiming to miss the pocket. Here, I'm aiming to hit the rail, yet the ball still finds the pocket. I'm going to show you the absolute best way to address each shot. This works so well, you're only going to need 1 or 2 practice strokes once you're on the table. I'm also going to show you the compact stroke. This is the most powerful and accurate stroke in pool. I'm going to show you a lot of secrets and tips that top players use when they play 9-ball, and it makes the game a whole lot easier. I'm also going to show you the secret to the sliding cue ball. This is what top players use to get pinpoint position. It's unbelievable. Those are just a few of the things you're going to learn in this video. I'm also going to show you the Mass A jump shot, proper way to draw a ball, problems to look out for when you're playing 9-ball. This video is jam-packed, and this video will absolutely get you to where you want to go. Just do all the drills, and if you have any questions, go to my website, 0x-billiards.com. Now, when you get done with this video and you want to take your game to an even higher level, go to my website, www.0x-billiards.com. I've got the best kicking video out on the market, bar none. It's got 1 rail kicks, 2 rail kicks, 3 rail kicks, end rail kicks, side rail kicks, and it's the only video on the market that contains a 0x kicking system. The easiest system in the world for kicking, and you don't have to be a mathematician to do it. And for a limited time, anybody who downloads my kicking video will get absolutely free my next video, 0x banking. This video takes out all the guesswork of banking. These are the secrets the top bankers use, and these are the secrets you have to know to be a top level player. I'm giving it away absolutely free to the first 200 people who download my kicking video. Alright, now if you're ready, let's get started. The first section talks about fundamentals. And the game's never going to become easy for you if you don't have proper fundamentals. And that's what this first section is all about. It's all about getting your fundamentals to the point where the game starts to become easy. Okay, so now we're going to talk about fundamentals. And there's a lot of things in this section that you probably won't see anywhere else. And after this section, I'm going to be talking about the stroke. And there's some really powerful things coming up. But before you can get into any of that, you have to learn the proper fundamentals. And this is for everybody. If you're an A player and you're not getting any better, it's because of your fundamentals. If you're a C player, you're not getting better, B player, you're not getting better, it's because of your fundamentals. So I want everyone to go through this section of the video, practice everything that I'm teaching you, and believe me, you will get better. Let's start with the bridge. This is a closed-handed bridge. You put the base of your palm on the table, your thumb touches the middle joint of the middle finger, and your cue stick slides along your thumb. Your forefinger wraps around the shaft and touches your thumb. This is a closed-handed bridge. Now I'm going to show you the open-handed bridge. And a lot of players are using this. This is big overseas. Now a lot of American players are using it. I like it. It allows you to see more of the cue ball. So you spread your fingers out like this. You press your thumb against your forefinger, and that creates a little groove that your stick slides on. And you can raise it up to shoot high. And if you're using the closed-handed bridge, if you want to shoot over a ball or shoot high, you can just go like that. Now, if you're shooting over a ball, this is called the tripod bridge. You bend this finger backward. That pretty much becomes like the third leg of the tripod. That helps stabilize the bridge so you can shoot over a ball and your bridge won't move around. Now, if your cue ball is near a rail, what you want to do is tuck your thumb in like this. Put your hand on the table and put the stick between your forefinger and middle finger. That makes it really snug and secure. Now, if the cue ball is on the rail, use the open-handed bridge. Press your thumb against your forefinger and put the base of your palm against the side of the table like this. And this is the bridge you have to do when the cue ball is on the rail. Now, if you're shooting over a ball and you're on the rail, you have to use the tripod bridge. The same tripod bridge I showed you earlier. Bend that finger backward. That becomes like the third leg. So when the cue ball is close to the rail and you're not able to put the base of your palm comfortably down on the table, what you want to do is you want to raise your bridge hand. And you do that by pointing your fingers down, almost like a tripod. And you keep one finger back to stabilize the bridge. Now remember, whenever you're doing your bridge, whether it's closed bridge or the open-handed bridge, make sure the base of your palm is always touching the felt. Here I put some baby powder on the base of my palm and you can see it makes a mark on the table. You always want the base of your palm touching the pool table. That'll make for a stable and secure bridge. Now here are some bridges that you absolutely have to avoid. You see a lot of weaker players making this kind of bridge. It's like a fist bridge. This is how some people try to do the open-handed bridge. This is how some people try to do the closed-handed bridge. And as you can see, it's not very stable or secure. The stick ends up moving around, their hands move around. This is the proper way to do it right here. Also, some players tend to lift their hand off the table, and their bridge will actually be moving while they're shooting. You absolutely have to avoid all this stuff. This is the open-handed bridge with the base of their palm off the table. Also, when players are shooting over a ball, they tend to make this mistake where they put all their fingers together. Remember, you got to always have one finger behind to form a tripod just like this. Another mistake people make when they do the close-handed bridge is they turn their hand the wrong way like this. The stick should always be running parallel with the thumb. And then you just wrap your finger around the stick. So now when you're gripping the cue, you just want to hold it real loosely in your hand. You don't want to grip it like a baseball bat. That's what a lot of amateurs do. They tend to grip the cue stick too tightly. You want a really loose grip, 2, maybe 3 fingers. Your pinky should never be touching the cue stick. It's kind of like this. And what this allows you to do, it allows you to have a little bit more wrist action when you shoot. Now, when you're holding the cue, usually you want to find the balance point. And once you find the balance point, I want you to put your tip up to the cue ball and check out where your hand is. Your hand should be pretty much below your elbow. You never want your hand too far back in the cue stick or too far forward. Here it's too far back and here it's too far forward. When the tip's at the cue ball, you want your hand pretty much below your elbow. So when we put it all together, we can create a nice little compact stroke. All it is a little pendulum swing, and the only part of my body that's moving is my forearm and a little bit of wrist. And that's it. You never really want to move your elbow. The only time your elbow is going to move is when you really have to power the cue ball, and even then it's not really going to move that much. This is the stroke you want, just back and forth. Okay, now I'm going to show you some mistakes that a lot of players make, even really good players. Here, I'm about ready to shoot a shot, but look how far forward my hand is. My hand is not below my elbow. So, watch what happens to my elbow when I try to stroke this ball. My elbow goes up in the air and it drops way down. That's not what you want. But this is a common problem, and you're going to see it in almost every pool hall. And even some top players will do it every once in a while without knowing. Here, once again, my hand is too far forward, and my tip is at the cue ball. So once again, my elbow goes up and drops way down on the shot. You definitely don't want that ever. So here I am, and now I'm going to show you how to correct it. Here I am, my tip is at the cue ball, my hand is too far forward. So, what most good players do is when they're down on the shot like this, they just keep their hand really, really loose and just let it naturally hang below their elbow. So as you can see here, I made the correction and my hand is right below my elbow, right where it needs to be to make that real nice compact stroke. Now you can see my elbow hardly moved at all. That's what you want. Once again, my hand was too far forward. I made a slight correction, and now my hand is right below my elbow, right where it needs to be. Okay, in this example, my hand is way too far back in the cue. It's not below my elbow. So that creates more of a seesaw type of stroke, which isn't good at all. So I just make a slight correction with my hand, and now my hand is right below my elbow. So now I'm going to quickly talk about the stance. And I will talk about an error that a lot of people make whenever they try and do the stance. The proper stance is you have to have the legs separated for stability. You put the stick on the line, and then you drop your upper body straight down. You never want to face the shot, bring your stick down, and then have to move your body out of the way so you can stroke the shot. You never want to do that. Your body always has to be out of the way once you get that stick on that line. So you separate your legs, put the stick on the line, and drop your upper body straight down. Okay, so now we're going to talk about where do you aim at an object ball to pocket it. The first thing you have to do is you have to draw a line through the center of the opening of the pocket, through the center of the object ball. And our ghost cue ball is going to end up right there on that line. That tells you where the cue ball needs to strike the object ball to pocket it. In this example, we draw a line through the center of the opening, through the center of the object ball. And our ghost cue ball needs to strike the four ball right there. So they're both on that line. So if our cue ball strikes that ghost ball, we should pocket the four ball. So here you can see, there's a closer view, you can see that line going through the center of the opening right through the object ball. So your cue ball is going to strike the four ball right on that same line. So when we're visualizing that line that goes from the object ball to the pocket, we're not visualizing a line that goes from the middle of the object ball to the back of the pocket. Because if you do that, you're going to end up hitting the rail. As you can see in this example, the line that goes from the back of the pocket to the object ball goes right over that rail. So what you have to remember is when you visualize that line has to start from the center of the opening of the pocket through the object ball. Now here's another example. If you were to aim this toward the back of the pocket, you would hit the rail. And a lot of good players sometimes do that without thinking. They aim toward the back of the pocket, they end up missing. What you want to do is you want to aim toward the center of the opening. Now in this example, we see the line going through the object ball, the three ball. Now we got to picture a contact ball, and there's our contact ball. That's where the cue ball needs to strike the object ball to pocket it in the corner. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to draw a line through that contact ball through the cue ball. Now this is really important. You got to remember this. That line that goes through the center of the contact ball, through the center of the cue ball, that line goes to infinity. That line just keeps going. So what you have to remember is when you're approaching the shot, you need to put your stick on that line. Right here I'm putting the stick on the line, dropping it straight down. And if you do it properly, you don't even need to do a practice stroke. So here I am, I'm walking toward the shot, putting my stick on that line, dropping my stick on the line, and firing the ball into the hole. Same thing. I see that line. I'm going to freeze the video here. I see that line through the center of the contact ball, through the center of the cue ball. I put my stick on that line, and once my stick is on that line, I just need to drop straight down on the table and fire away. One thing you got to remember is if you get down on the table and it's not lined up and you start moving your body around and your stick around, trying to readjust everything, you got to stop and you have to get back up. You want to readjust yourself, put your stick in that line, drop it straight down, double check it, then fire away. You never want to adjust yourself while you're on the table. Now this is a great drill that you can do, and this will really tell whether you're addressing the ball properly. So here we can see the line going through the object ball and the contact ball. So we're going to draw a line through the center of that contact ball, through the center of the cue ball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my stick is on that line before I even get down on the table. So it's on the line, drop down, and I'm going to fire these in without doing any practice strokes. This is what I want you to do. I want you to throw out 5 balls. You should be able to make all 5 balls without missing. I'm going to throw out another ball. I'm going to shoot it in the other corner. I'm going to put my stick on that line, go straight down, no practice strokes, and just fire it in the hole. And what this is telling me that I'm addressing the shot properly, because you want to do all your aiming before you even get down on the table. So I see that line, I get it down, no practice strokes, fire it in. All your aiming has to be done before you get down on the table. When you get down on the table, you're just double checking everything. So here I am, I see the line, I drop down, no practice strokes, fire it in. Now you should be able to do it 5 times in a row. So here now, I'm going to shoot it in the other corner pocket, put my stick in the line, drop down, and fire it in. Okay, have you ever come across a bank shot that's just pretty much impossible? You always get that double kiss. Well, I'm going to show you how to do it, and it involves actually aiming to miss the pocket. So let me explain what I mean by this. The next time you come across a bank shot like this, I want you to aim to bank this to the far side of the pocket, like this diagram here. And then once it's lined up, I want you to move your grip hand towards your body. That pushes the tip to the outside of the ball, and it spins the ball into the pocket. Here, I'm aiming to bank the ball toward the first diamond. And once it's lined up, I do the same thing. I move my hand toward my body, pushes the tip to the outside of the cue ball, and it spins the ball into the pocket. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the stroke. This is a really important part of the video. So you really got to rewind, play it back a few times so you completely understand it. Now, as we see here, we have that line that goes from the center of the opening of the pocket through the object ball. And then we see our ghost cue ball, and we see a line that goes from the ghost cue ball through the real cue ball. This is the line that your stick needs to go back and forth on. So when you bring your stick back, it should be on that line. And on your follow through, your stick should be on that line. And your tip should end up on the felt. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to put a ball in the spot and shoot it in the corner. And I want you to see that line that goes from the spot to the corner. And I want you, on your backstroke, to stay on that line. And as you follow through, I want your stick to stay on that line. And your tip should end up on that felt, on that line, straight to the corner pocket. So everything is on a line. Every time you shoot one of these shots, I want your tip to end up on the felt in a direct line with that corner pocket every single time. And if you're shooting these shots and your tip isn't ending up on the felt, or your tip is boomeranging like this, which is a common problem. Another common problem is when you shoot one of these shots your tip is veering offline to left or right, or you shoot the shot and your tip ends up way above the felt, that's a problem. But all these problems have the same thing in common. You're probably holding the cue stick too tightly. You need a nice, loose grip, as I explained before, in order to perform the correct stroke. Now, when I first started doing this drill a long time ago, I did it about 2,000 to 3,000 times, over and over and over and over again. It took me about 2 weeks, but I had a lot of bad habits with my stroke. But after about 2,000 times of doing this drill, I got up there and I shot a cue ball into an object ball, and it was like a brand new stroke. The feeling that I had knowing that my stroke was absolutely straight was phenomenal. And making balls has been easy ever since. So I recommend this drill to everybody. This drill will get you to the next level, but if you're going to do this drill, you got to do it all the way through. I recommend about 2,000 times. And you can't play league, you can't play with your buddies, you can't play tournaments. You just have to do this drill over and over and over again. You know, if you go out there and you play league after you do this drill 500 times, you're probably going to resort back to the old way of playing. And all this practice time is going to go out the window. You need to stick with this for about 2,000 to 3,000 times depending on how many bad habits you have. But this will absolutely straighten your stroke, guaranteed. So at the end of this section, I'm going to be talking about all the steps you need to do if in fact you do this drill. All the steps you have to remember, all the things you have to do the drill correctly. You know, some of the main points are keep your head down, loose grip, and stop that tip on the felt. And even though you're stopping the tip on the felt on every single shot, it doesn't mean when you're actually playing your tip is going to stop in the felt every single time. But when you're doing the drill, you got to stop that tip on the felt because that forces your arm to keep that stick on a straight line. Okay, so now we're going to discuss another important aspect of the stroke, and that's the length of the backstroke. A lot of players mess up when it comes to the length of the backstroke. What you have to remember is the length of your backstroke determines the length of your forward stroke. For instance here, if I just go back an inch or two, I should only be going through the cue ball an inch or two. In this example, I want to hit the cue ball harder, so we're going to freeze the video right here. And as you can see, my backstroke is about 6 inches. So my forward stroke should be about 6 inches through the cue ball. And here's an example where a lot of players make a mistake. Here, I just want to hit the 3 ball hard enough to get to the pocket so I can hold the cue ball for the 8 ball. So I just barely want to hit the 3 ball. But what a lot of players do, and even good players, is their backstroke goes back too far. You end up with too long of a backstroke, then they have to slow down their forward stroke, and they end up hitting the ball too hard or they miss the shot. So what you have to remember is, if you need to barely hit a ball, if you just need to barely pocket this ball, you're only going to bring your stick back an inch or two. That's all you need. Here is another example. I'm only going to bring the stick back maybe a half an inch. And I was able to hold the cue ball for the 6 ball. Here's another view, and I'm only bringing that tip back about the length of a ferrule. Here, I'm only going to bring the stick back an inch or two, and my follow through is an inch or two. Now what a lot of players do, if they're going to hit a ball softly, they move their bridge hand close to the cue ball, and that forces them to have a short backstroke. If they're going to shoot a shot that they have to hit a little bit harder, then they move their bridge hand a little farther back. That allows them to have a longer backstroke. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here and talk about the draw stroke and follow through stroke. I'm going to show you a couple quick tips that's going to help both your draw and follow through. Number one, if you're trying to draw the cue ball and you keep miscuing, or you try and draw the cue ball back but it stops or goes forward, you're probably not aiming low enough. Remember, you have to be aiming really low. If you look at some top players, their tip is actually touching the felt when they're aiming low, but when they strike the cue ball, their cue stick is raising up. Also, you always have to have a really loose grip. People tend to tense up and they grip the stick too tightly when they use low, and that's when they miscue. Also, remember to have a really good follow-through whenever you're trying to draw the cue ball. Okay, now we're going to talk about the follow-through, and the same thing applies. Here, I just want to follow the object ball, and we see if we got really good action. But a lot of players, when they use follow-through, the cue ball only goes a couple inches, or the cue ball will stop. And that's because they're not aiming high enough. You need to not only aim really high in the cue ball, you need to have a loose grip, and you have to follow through. Okay, now I'm going to show you an excellent stroke drill. This drill will absolutely straighten your stroke. First of all, put a ball in the spot, and I want you to visualize that line that goes from the corner pocket through the ball. Now drop your bridge hand straight down, and once your bridge hand is on the table, I want you to position your grip hand underneath your elbow. Just like that. Now, once your grip hand is positioned correctly, I want you to drop your upper body straight down. Now, when you shoot this shot, I want your tip stopping the felt on that line, and I want you to keep your head down for at least 3 seconds. So there's a number of steps here you have to do. So, line it up, put your bridge hand down, position your grip hand, drop your upper body straight down, stop the tip in the felt, and keep your head down for at least 3 seconds. You got to do this over and over and over again until it feels natural. Put the stick on the line, drop your bridge hand straight down, readjust your grip hand underneath your elbow, stop the tip in the felt, and keep your head down. These are the things you have to remember whenever you're stroking a ball. You have to keep your stick always on the aiming line, always cradle the cue, don't grip it. Never try to muscle the cue stick, let the weight of the cue do most of the work. The tip should always end up on the felt or slightly above it after every shot, and the distance of your backstroke equals the distance of the forward stroke. Always keep your head down for at least 3 seconds after every shot, and your grip hand should be underneath your elbow at all times. Okay, I'm going to show you a great little trick for killing the cue ball. And basically what killing the cue ball is holding the cue ball in the same area where you shot the object ball. Like in this example here, I want to shoot the 8 ball and hold the cue ball for the 9 ball. And what you want to do is you want to use low inside English. The low on the cue ball keeps the cue ball from rolling, and the inside English keeps the cue ball from running away once it hits the rail. You can even do it on extreme examples. Like for instance here, I use low with a little bit of inside English, and look how I can hold it for the 9 ball. Okay, so now this is one of the biggest secrets of pool, and nobody's teaching it. All the top players know about it. The top players of yesteryear knew about it, but nobody teaches it. This is all about the sliding cue ball and the physics behind the sliding cue ball and the contact line that forms between the cue ball and object ball. And understanding that and utilizing that information to play pinpoint position. For instance, here, I'm running out a rack and 9 ball, but I'm not using left or right English. I'm just using center, center low, and center high. And I'm able to do that because I can see the contact line that forms if the cue ball is sliding when it hits the object ball. Once I have that information, I know whether to hit the cue ball low, center, or center high. So before we go any further with this, I want to break down the physics of the sliding cue ball. Now we all know when you shoot the cue ball, and I'm going to use the strike ball here, the 13 ball is the cue ball. When you shoot low on a cue ball, put the backward rolling motion on the cue ball, and when the cue ball strikes the object ball, it comes backwards. Now, when you hit the cue ball above center, it puts a forward rolling motion on the cue ball, and the cue ball ends up following the object ball. But when you hit exactly center on the cue ball is going to slide. And when the cue ball is sliding, when it hits the object ball full, it's going to stop. And this is really important to understand. You have to understand how to make the cue ball slide when it hits an object ball. Because if a cue ball is sliding when it hits an object ball, that line that forms between the cue ball and object ball at contact, that line shows you the direct path the cue ball will take if the cue ball is sliding when it hits the object ball. And if I were to hit this object ball above center, I know that the cue ball is going to hit below this contact line. And I know that if I were to hit the cue ball below center, that it's going to end up higher up on the rail above the contact line. In this example, if the cue ball is sliding, I know exactly where on the rail the cue ball is going to hit, because it has to hit there. It's got nowhere else to go. And in this example here, I know that if the cue ball is sliding, if I hit exactly center, the cue ball is sliding when it hits the 1 ball, that the cue ball is going to head toward the 5 and 6 ball. So here I'm going to go ahead and hit center, and the cue ball followed that path exactly. So here, once again, I know that if I pocket the 6 ball, that contact line is headed right toward those 2 balls at the end rail. So all I have to do is hit center and make sure the cue ball is sliding when it strikes the 6 ball. Now here's a carom shot. I know if I hit center of the cue ball and the cue ball is sliding, not rolling forward, doesn't have any backward rolling motion, it's sliding. I know that after hitting the 8 ball, that cue ball is going to head toward the 9 ball. And it does. Okay, in this example here, I just need to get from the 3 ball to the 4 ball. And I know that the contact line will take me directly where I need to go. So I just have to make sure the cue ball is sliding by the time it reaches the 3 ball. And here we have perfect position. Now in this example here, I need to get from the 5 ball to the 6 ball. And I know that contact line is going to take me directly to the corner pocket. But I know that if I hit a little below center, I can change the path of the cue ball and end up on the side rail for position on the 6 ball. In this example here, I know that the contact line will go directly across the table and break out the 8-9. So if the cue ball is sliding, by the time it reaches the 7 ball, I should break out the 8 and 9. In this example here, if the cue ball is sliding, by the time it reaches the 7 ball, I can have the cue ball go between the 10 and 9 and end up for position on the 8 ball. Now, I can do the same thing. The contact line will take me directly up table for the 9 ball, just using center. And on this shot, it's the same thing. I know that if the cue ball is sliding by the time it reaches the 9 ball, this is a path the cue ball will take. Now, when you get done with this video and you want to take your game to an even higher level, go to my website, www.0x-billiards.com. I've got the best kicking video out on the market, bar none. It's got 1 rail kicks, 2 rail kicks, 3 rail kicks, end rail kicks, side rail kicks, and it's the only video on the market that contains a 0x kicking system. The easiest system in the world for kicking, and you don't have to be a mathematician to do it. And for a limited time, anybody who downloads my kicking video will get absolutely free my next video, 0x banking. This video takes out all the guesswork of banking. These are the secrets the top bankers use, and these are the secrets you have to know to be a top level player. I'm giving it away absolutely free to the first 200 people who download my kicking video. Alright, now here's a situation where it's very important to understand the physics of the sliding cue ball. Have you ever come across a shot like this and you're not quite sure if you're going to scratch or not? Let me show you a different angle. What you want to do when you come across a shot like this is you want to look at the contact line that's formed between the cue ball and the object ball. So when the cue ball meets the object ball, you want to be able to see that line that forms between them, and that shows you the direction the cue ball will go in if in fact the cue ball is sliding. Now here we see the cue ball scratch because the cue ball was sliding when it met the object ball. But knowing that, I know that if I were to hit above center, I could probably hit that end rail right about there. And knowing that information, if I were to hit below center, I could probably hit the side rail right about there. Okay, so let's practice some center ball shots. I want you to set up a real simple straight-in shot with the object ball. And I want you to practice shooting these in, just hitting center on the cue ball. And if you do this correctly, the cue ball will absolutely stop when it hits the object ball. If it's rolling forward or the cue ball is coming backward, that means you're not hitting center on the cue ball. This is what should happen if you hit center on the cue ball. The cue ball should stop. Here, I'll set it up again. I'll aim center on the cue ball and the cue ball should stop. Now here's an important principle for you to understand. Even though you're hitting center and the cue ball is sliding, it's not going to slide forever. At some point it's going to start rolling forward because it is a ball. So it's going to have that forward motion on it after a while if you don't strike the cue ball hard enough. Here I didn't strike the cue ball hard enough, so the cue ball followed the object ball. Here I'm aiming center and the cue ball is sliding, but since I didn't hit the cue ball hard enough, by the time it reaches the object ball, the cue ball is rolling forward, and watch what happens. The cue ball is following the object ball. So when you have a shot, a longer shot like this, and you're hitting center, you need to hit it with a firm stroke to make sure the cue ball is sliding all the way to the object ball. Now there's another way to make the cue ball slide by the time it reaches the object ball, and that's to use center low. And you'll see a lot of people use low English when they kill a shot, when they stop the cue ball. Here I stopped the cue ball dead using low English. And here's the physics behind it. If I'm hitting low on the cue ball is going to have a backward rolling motion. But it's only going to have that for a little while, and at some point the backward rolling motion is going to stop and the cue ball is going to begin sliding before it begins rolling. So you want to time it out so the cue ball is sliding by the time it hits the object ball. Here's some shots where I'm just going to hit low on the cue ball. There we go. And then I'm going to have like a little graphic so you can see what the cue ball is doing all the way to the object ball. It's got the backward rolling motion on it, backward rolling motion. But now the backward rolling motion is starting to fade, and now the cue ball is sliding. And now it's striking the object ball, and the cue ball stops dead. Okay, now I'm going to show you a couple of examples of where you may want to hit below center on the cue ball so the cue ball is sliding by the time it reaches the object ball. In this situation here, I just want to shoot the 7 ball and end up right above the 8 ball so I can pocket the 8 ball in the corner pocket. But if I were to hit center on the cue ball to make sure the cue ball is sliding by the time it reaches the 7 ball, I'm going to have to hit the cue ball pretty firm, and I don't think I'll be able to hold it for position. But if I were to hit below center on the cue ball with a soft stroke, I can time it out so the cue ball is sliding by the time it reaches the object ball. Here we can see, using a graphic, that I'm hitting below center, but by the time the cue ball reaches the object ball, the cue ball is sliding. In this example here, I know that the contact line is going to take me between these group of balls here for position on the 3 ball. But I'd have to strike it too firmly if I use center. But if I hit a low below center and make sure the cue ball is sliding by the time it reaches the 2 ball, I'll have perfect shape on the 3 ball. Okay, so I'm going to set this shot up over and over and over again. And I'm going to shoot it with center, center low, center high, center right, and center left. Because I want you to see the path the cue ball takes depending on where you strike the cue ball at. For instance, I know that if I hit center on the cue ball and the cue ball is sliding when it hits the 8 ball, I can see that contact line pointing toward that second diamond. And that angle that goes toward that second diamond that's created by the contact line, that angle is going to be the same angle going out. So I can almost predict where that cue ball is going to hit at the second rail. I know it's going to hit it right around the second diamond. So let's watch what happens as I hit the 8 ball. And the cue ball is going exactly toward the second diamond. And I'm going to mark this path as center. And I'm going to keep it on the screen so you can see the difference. as I shoot the cue ball with different types of English. Here I'm hitting just a half a tip below center. And just a half a tip below center, you can see the difference it made when I shot the 8-ball and the path it took. But now I'm going to hit a whole tip below center. So watch where the cue ball strikes the first rail, and watch where the cue ball ends up. It ends up toward this corner pocket. Okay, in this example, I'm just going to hit half a tip above center and watch what happens. A half a tip above center, and I hit about the first diamond. Now I'm going to hit a whole tip above center, and I'll probably end up scratching in the side pocket. The reason this is important is if I use the center path as a baseline, that pretty much tells me where the cue ball is going to go depending on what English I use. If I want to end up below that line, I know I'll use below center English. If I want to end up above that line, that center path, then I'll use center high. Here I used a half a tip of right-hand English, and I ended up near the corner pocket. Here I'm going to use a full tip of right-hand English, and watch where the cue ball goes. Cue ball is heading right toward the corner pocket. And finally, I'm going to use left-hand English. So I'm going to use a half a tip of left-hand English. And as you can see, it dramatically cut short the angle. Now I'm going to use a full tip of left-hand English, and we can see where it ends up. You can really hold the cue ball up with left-hand English. Now let's say I want to get positioned on this 8-ball in the bottom rail here, and I want to shoot it in the bottom right-hand corner pocket. Well, I know if I hit center on the cue ball is going to hit the top rail at this location. So I want to change the path the cue ball takes so I can end up putting the cue ball right here for the 8-ball. So if I were to hit a little below center on the cue ball, that's going to change the path the cue ball takes, and I should end up on the right side of the 8-ball to pocket it. In this example, I know if I hit center on the cue ball is going to take this path and hit the rail right here. But if I hit a little below center, I can break out the 2 balls that are on the rail. In this example, if I hit high in the cue ball instead of low, I can break out the 4-ball and 2-ball. And here's another example of how I can change the path using center high. If I were to strike the 3-ball with center English, this is the path the cue ball is going to take. So the cue ball is going to strike the top rail right about here. But I want the cue ball to end up on the right side of the table in this location right here. So I need the cue ball to hit right up here where the second arrow is between the first and second diamond. So if I just hit high on the cue ball, center high, I can hit that second arrow and end up where I need to be. So in this example, I'm looking at the contact line. The contact line is headed right toward the first diamond. But if I am a little below center, I know I can change the path of the cue ball and pocket the 9-ball. In this example, I know the contact line is headed right toward the 9-ball. Okay, in this example, I can see the path the cue ball is going to take if the cue ball is sliding when it hits the object ball. And I know that path is going to lead me directly to those 2 balls on the side rail. Okay, so now we're going to run out of racket balls just using center, center high, and center low. And the reason this is a really good practice drill for you to do is because it forces you to be on the correct line of every single ball. You can't spin your way back into position. You have to be on the correct side of the object ball to get on the next ball. So let's get started here. I'm going to shoot this 1 ball with center high and just bounce it off the rail. Now as we get to the 2 ball, I know that if I hit center and the cue ball were sliding, that contact line would put the cue ball right where that arrow is. But I don't want to run into the 5 ball, so I'm just going to hit a little below center. Now this shot here is just a simple follow shot with center high. And it's also important to use the rails to maneuver the cue ball around the table. And here once again, I'm going to use center high, come off the rail and give myself an angle on the 6. Now on this shot here, I know that that's the contact line right there. I need to end up way below that for the 7. So I'm going to aim about a tip and a half below center. Okay, so we've ended up perfect on the 7 ball. So this one is just a simple little draw shot. I'm just going to draw it back for the 8 ball. And as you can see, if you just do this drill, just even a half hour every time you do a practice session, your game will skyrocket. Alright, let's take a break and talk about the masse jump shot. This is a fantastic shot that once you learn it, you're going to be using it all the time, I guarantee it. And you use this shot whenever you end up on the wrong side of an object ball. For instance here, I'm on the wrong side of the 8 ball to get to the right side of the table. So, I do a little masse jump shot and watch the cue ball spin to the right. And here's what I'm doing. I'm jacked up and I'm shooting down on the right side of the cue ball, and that forces the cue ball to the right. And all it takes is a little bit of wrist action. You're not really moving your arm that much, it's just wrist. So here's a situation where I need to draw the cue ball back to get shape on the 8 ball, but I can't because of the side pocket. That's when I use the masse jump. So in this situation, I would hit the cue ball on the left side to spin it to the left. Here, once again, I'm on the wrong side of the 7, and I need to end up down here for the 8 ball. So I jack up and hit center right. Once again, I'm straight in on the 7 ball, but if I jack up and hit on the left side of the cue ball, it'll head toward the 8 ball. In this situation, I'm on the wrong side of the 7, but if I jack up and hit the right side of the cue ball, I can spin the cue ball toward the 8 ball. Okay, now here's a variation of the shot. This is when you're really close to the rail. You can actually bounce the cue ball on the rail to propel it toward the other end of the table. Here it is in slow motion. You can see the cue ball bounce on the side of the rail, and then it takes off. Now remember, you never have to hit the cue ball hard. It's mostly a wrist action and you're just popping the cue ball. Here, I'm just popping the cue ball on the left side, and the cue ball uses the rail to propel it to the other side of the table. Okay, in this section, we're going to be talking about problems you may run into playing the game of 9-ball. And a lot of these problems can be easily avoided if you just plan in advance. And a lot of players fail to do that, even good players, because they get careless. So what I want you to look out for, especially in the early part of a 9-ball game, when there's lots of balls on the table, always be aware of balls that are on opposite ends of the table. For instance, here we have the 3 ball on this side of the table and 4 ball on the opposite end. And so what a lot of players do is they'll step up, they'll fire in the 1 ball, and they'll get an easy shot in the 2 ball. But if you notice, we don't have much of an angle on the 2 ball, so now we can't get the proper angle on the 3 to get on the 4. So you always have to plan in advance, especially when you have 2 balls with a lot of distance between them. Okay, now I'm going to show you the proper way to do it. I'm just going to shoot the 1 ball and just roll up a few inches. Now I have more of an angle on the 2 ball, so I can just shoot the 2 and have the cue ball roll toward the middle of the table. Now if you look at my angle on the 3 ball, I don't have to work that hard to get on the 4 ball. Okay, here's a situation that comes up quite a bit. We have 2 balls that are tied up, the 4 and 5 ball, and there's no real good way of breaking them out. And a lot of weaker players will still try to run out and maybe shoot the 3 ball in to try and break out the 4, and they end up in trouble. The proper way to run out this rack is to shoot the 1 ball and play a position on the 2 ball so you can have a defensive shot on the 3 ball. So here I'm just going to stop the cue ball and have the 3 ball travel to this end of the table because I want the 3 ball close to the 4 and 5. That way if I get ball in hand, I can easily break out the 4 and 5. Okay, here's a situation where there are different ways to get position on the 2 ball. We can either use low right and come down to this area of the table, but there's little room for error if we go this way. But this is the easiest way to get position, and this is usually the way that most people choose to play position. They go the easiest route, and if they end up short, as I did here, they end up with a very difficult shot to get on the 3 ball. What you want to do, and I'm going to show it to you right here, and there's a fundamental principle involved in what I'm about to show you. What you want to do is you want to go to the other rail, using high left. The reason you do this is once that cue ball leaves that second rail, it's on the correct line for the 2 ball. So as soon as that cue ball hits that rail, we can see that it's on the correct line. Even if I were to hit this shot too easy, I'd have a long shot, but it would still be on the correct line to get on the 3 ball. So whenever you can play position on a ball, and the cue ball is traveling on the correct line toward the object ball, that's ideal. Okay, in this example here, we have the 1, 2, 3, and 4. And to get on the 4 ball from the 3 could be difficult. And I'm going to show you a mistake a lot of players make. And it happens all the time. Even good players make this mistake. So a player will get up to fire in the 1 ball, give themselves an angle on the 2 to get on a 3 ball. But here's a mistake they make. They end up coming down too much, and they end up too straight in on the 3 ball. What you want to do, this is the correct way to do it, fire in the 1 ball, but this time pick a spot on the side rail. Like here, I'm going to pick the 3rd diamond. If my cue ball can get close to that 3rd diamond, I'm going to have a nice little angle on the 3 to get on the 4. So you always got to have a target in mind, otherwise you're going to end up straight on these balls and you're not going to be able to get shape. So now this is a nice little 3 to 4 rail position shot. This is really crucial here. This comes up all the time. We have the 4 ball at one end of the table and the 3 ball is hanging. And what a lot of players do, they figure, well, since the 3 ball is hanging in the pocket, it's a real easy shot. I really don't have to put much effort into this positioning. I can just shoot the 1 ball in like this, fire in the 2 ball, and bring it closer to the 3 ball, just like this. Problem is, when the ball is hanging like that, it's not that easy to go from one end of the table to the other end of the table. So here's the correct way to do it. Give yourself an angle on the 2 ball, but this time, bring the cue ball down to this end of the table, so that way when you shoot the 3 ball, you can just roll the cue ball with English toward the 4 ball. It requires very little effort at all. You're just rolling the cue ball for a position. Okay, now here's another example. Same principle involved. You have the 3 ball at one end, 4 ball on the other end, and the 3 ball is hanging. So what a lot of players do, without thinking, they just step up and they'll fire in the 1 ball, and then they'll fire in the 2 ball. And they don't think they need to get a good angle on the 2 ball for the 3 because the 3 ball is hanging. So here I am, I'm straight in on the 2 ball. Now I left myself an extremely difficult shot on the 3 ball to get on the 4. And, you know, players will try something, some sort of Hail Mary shot. You don't need to work that hard. What you need to do is plan out your pattern. So here, instead of ending up straight in on the 2 ball, I'm going to stop the cue ball and give myself a little angle on the 2 ball so I can end up in this area over here where the arrow is. Okay, so here comes the cue ball. Now I've given myself a nice angle on the 3 ball just to roll it toward the 4 ball. Whenever you can roll a cue ball into position, do it. Okay, here's a situation that people get into trouble. They play for a position on this 9 ball down here, but they either end up straight in on the 9 ball or they end up flirting with a corner pocket. Whenever you have a shot like this, always use the rails to guide the cue ball. You can be a lot more accurate in your position. Here's a situation that comes up quite a bit. You can play position on this 5 ball different ways. You can bring the cue ball down on the right side of the table and play the 5 ball in the side pocket. The problem is if you end up short or hit it too hard, you'll be left without a shot. Here I've hit the cue ball too hard. Now it's a very difficult shot to make in the side pocket. But if we had played shape on the other side of the table, we have 3 different pockets to shoot the 5 ball into. If we hit it too easy, like I just did here, we can shoot in the corner. Hit it with the right speed, we have the side, or hit it too hard and we have the other corner pocket. Remember, whenever you're playing position on a ball, if you can, try to play position on the side of the ball that gives you more than one pocket choice. This looks like a real easy run out, 6, 7, 8, 9. But what happens is people get careless. They shoot the 6 ball in and they have the cue ball travel to the side rail for position on the 7. But if I were to stop the cue ball where the 7 is, I would have no angle on the 8 to get on the 9. If I like to draw the cue ball back, I may draw it back too far and be left with no shot. Here's the correct way you want to play the shot. You want to give yourself a nice angle on the 7 so you can have a nice angle on the 8 ball. As I said before, whenever you have 2 balls that are on opposite ends of the table, you always have to be thinking about angles. You need a really good angle to get from one end of the table to the other. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the secret to pocketing balls that are on the rail. And here's the secret. The next time you have a shot that's on the rail, I want you to shoot the shot with center high and hit the rail and the ball at the same time. What happens is when you use center high, it puts a spin on the object ball that makes the object ball stick to the rail. And it doesn't matter where the object ball is, that object ball will absolutely stick to that rail. This works so well, you got to try it. Okay, so in this section here, we're going to be talking about 9-ball patterns and the correct way to run out a rack of 9-ball, and what you have to think about whenever you approach the table. Okay, so now let's look at this pattern here. This is an extremely difficult pattern. In fact, if you can run this pattern out, that's pretty good. And the reason this pattern is so difficult is because it requires you to be on the correct side of each ball to get on the next ball. And if you don't get on the correct side of, say, the 3 ball, the cue ball is going to run into the 7 and you won't be able to get on the 4 ball. And the same with the 4 ball. If you don't get on the correct side of the 4 ball, the cue ball is going to run into the 6 and 8 ball and you won't be able to get on the 5 ball. So this is an extremely difficult pattern, but what this pattern does is it helps you understand how important angles are. Okay, here's what I do whenever I approach the table playing 9-ball. Right away I'm thinking in 4-ball patterns. And that's really important. In the beginning of a 9-ball game, you want to be thinking in 4-ball patterns. For instance, here I'm shooting the 1 ball, but I'm already looking at the 2, 3, and 4. And out of those 4 balls, which balls are the problem balls? And right now I can tell that it's a 3 ball and the 4 ball. So if I don't get on the correct side of the 3 ball, I'm going to be in trouble because the cue ball, like I said before, could run into the 7 ball. So I need to be on the correct side of the 3 ball so I can bring the cue ball back to get on the correct side of the 4 ball. So precise shape on the 3 ball is really, really important. So that's what I'm thinking about when I'm shooting the 1 ball. I'm thinking about what is the easiest angle on the 2 ball to get that precise position on the 3 ball so I can bring it back for the 4 ball. That's why it's so important to think in 4-ball patterns instead of 3-ball patterns, especially in the beginning of a 9-ball game, because there are so many more balls on the table and there are so many more problems that will come up. So right away I know that if I'm going to shoot the 1 ball, I need to get on the correct side of the 2 ball. Now what does that mean, correct side of the 2 ball? Well, what I like to do is I like to draw a line from the pocket I'm going to shoot the 2 ball in through the 2 ball. And we can see this line here. Now I ask myself, well, what side of this line do I need to be on to get on the 3 ball? Well, if I end up above that line, I'm going to have to shoot the 2 ball, come off the side rail or end rail, and come around to get the precise position on the 3 ball, and that's going to be kind of difficult. So the easiest way for me to get from the 2 to the 3 would be for me to end up below this line here. That way I could just shoot the 2 ball and roll the cue ball toward position on the 3 ball. And now we can see this line that goes through the 3 ball. So I know that after I shoot the 2 ball, I need to roll that cue ball up near that line or slightly above the line. And if I'm in that area right there, I can either draw the cue ball back for the 4 ball, or I can follow, go to the end rail, and come back down for the 4 ball. But one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to end up below that line. Otherwise, the cue ball will run into the 7 ball, and my run will be over. So if I do get on the 4 ball, I know that if I'm below this line, this is an easy position shot to get on the 5 ball. It's that contact line that takes me directly for position on the 5 ball. We discussed that earlier. If the cue ball is sliding, when it contacts the 4 ball, the cue ball is going to head in this direction here for the 5 ball. Okay, now I'm going to start shooting these balls, and I'm going to show you some errors that players make. So here I've shot the cue ball and I've ended up on the correct side of the 2 ball. So here I can see that the contact line is going to take me toward where I need to be on the 3 ball. And here I've ended up on the other side of the line, but I should still be okay. I can just follow the cue ball to the end rail. But now if we look at this, I've ended up above that line, so now I can't get back on the 5 ball. Now my run is over. Okay, so now here's another error that players make. Here I ended up on the high side of the line, the 2 ball line, which means now I have to draw the cue ball to the side rail and bring the cue ball back out to get position on the 3 ball. And whenever you have to draw toward a side rail and bring the cue ball back out for position, the speed control is very, very difficult. It's much harder than if you just had to roll the cue ball toward position. Here I've ended up on the 5 ball. I just need to roll down for the 6 ball. But here you can see that I've shot it too easy, and now my cue ball is going to run into the 8 ball after I shoot the 6. Okay, I'm going to shoot the 5 ball again, but this time I'm going to hit it a little bit extra hard. And as you can see, now the cue ball is headed right toward that line, and that's much better. I should be able to avoid hitting the 8 ball when I shoot in the 6 ball. But now, look at this shot here. This is a common mistake that a lot of players make. And I'm going to freeze it right here. Okay, so let me tell you why it was a bad shot. If we look at the 9 ball is at the other end of the table, which means I'm going to need a really good angle on the 8 ball to get on the 9 ball. And the ideal position for the 8 ball would be for the cue ball to be in the middle of the table, or maybe a little bit on the right side of the table, so I can shoot the 8 ball in this bottom right hand corner pocket and have the cue ball go 2, 3, maybe 4 rails for the 9 ball. But if we look at where we are right now, the cue ball is straight in on the 7 ball, and if I were to stop the cue ball where the 7 ball is, I would end up with a straight in shot on the 8 ball. So the only way I can get a really good angle is I have to draw the cue ball back about 3 or 4 feet to get an angle. And whenever you're drawing that far, there's a chance you could overdraw it or you could miscue. Okay, this time I'm going to show you the difference. Here I'm going to play position on the 6 ball, but this time when I'm shooting the 6 ball, I'm thinking about the correct angle on the 8 to get on the 9. So now watch what happens. When I shoot this 6 ball, I'm thinking, well, I need to roll ahead a few inches to end up on the other side of that 7 ball line. Now, when I shoot that 7 ball, I can have that cue ball move to the right. Now, if you look at this angle here in the 8 ball, this is ideal. This is just a low right English shot. You go 2, 3, 4 rails, and you end up perfect on the 9 ball. Now, when you get done with this video and you want to take your game to an even higher level, go to my website, www.0x-billiards.com. I've got the best kicking video out on the market, bar none. It's got 1 rail kicks, 2 rail kicks, 3 rail kicks, end rail kicks, side rail kicks, and it's the only video on the market that contains a 0x kicking system. The easiest system in the world for kicking, and you don't have to be a mathematician to do it. And for a limited time, anybody who downloads my kicking video will get absolutely free my next video, 0x banking. This video takes out all the guesswork of banking. These are the secrets the top bankers use, and these are the secrets you have to know to be a top level player. I'm giving it away absolutely free to the first 200 people who download my kicking video. Okay, now this is the second run out. And I'm going to be running out this rack, and along the way I'm going to be explaining some of the errors that players make and kind of what my thought process is when I'm shooting these shots. So right away when I'm shooting the 1 ball, I'm looking at the 2 ball line. And I know that I have to get below that line to get on the 3 ball. And if we look here, I ended up straight on that line, and it's going to be very difficult for me to get on the 3 ball. So this time, I tried really hard to get below that line, and there I am. I'm below the line. I now have an easy angle to get down table for the 3 ball. So here, I see that 3 ball line, and I know I need to end up below it. So this shot here is just a simple sliding shot. That contact line is going to take me directly to the 4 ball. And if you look at this, I'm straight in on the 4 ball. So now if I can just roll the cue ball forward a couple inches, I'll have the 5 ball in the side pocket. Now I'm looking at the 6 ball line, and I know I need to end up below that line to get on the 7 ball. So this is where I want to end up on the 7 ball. I want to end up right near this first diamond right here. That'll give me a nice angle to get on the 8 ball. And once again, this is just a sliding cue ball. I just use a contact line to take me toward that 8 ball. So remember, when you're playing 9 ball, you really have to start visualizing those lines that go from the pocket through the object ball. Those lines help you determine what side you need to be on to get on the next ball. Okay, I'm going to show you a great drill, and you need to start doing this all the time. This is the best drill out there for 9 ball. Throw out 3 balls, and I want you to run these 3 balls out in numerical order. Here I'm going to shoot the 1 ball. I'm going to get on the 4, and then I'm going to shoot from the 4 to the 10. But what you have to do is you have to pick a pocket for each object ball before you begin the run out. So let me do this again. I'm going to throw out 3 balls, and before I even start shooting, I pick a pocket for each ball. For instance, here I'm going to shoot the 7 ball in the corner, 8 ball I'll probably shoot in the side, 11 ball corner. Here I just shot the 7 ball in the corner, 8 ball side. I'm going to draw back for the 11 ball. And I'm going to shoot this ball in the corner. So you need to be able to run out 3 balls 5 times in a row. And you have to run them out in the pockets that you chose for each ball. So once you do 3 balls, you move up to 4. And once again, pick a pocket for each ball. 6 ball corner, 8 ball side. I'll probably shoot, I probably shoot that 10 ball in the side pocket, 11 ball corner. And you have to shoot the balls in their chosen location. And if you make any sort of mistake, your run is over and they have to start from scratch. You have to start all over again. So you can move your way up to 5 balls. And remember, pick a pocket for each one. This one I'm going to shoot the 1 ball corner, 3 ball corner, 6 ball corner, 8 ball lower right corner, 9 ball lower right corner. So what this drill does, it teaches you angles. It forces you to play correct angles to get on the next ball, because if you don't, your run is over. You cannot shoot a ball in a different pocket. You have to shoot it in the pocket that you selected before you started the run. Okay, now I'm going to show you the secret to cutting balls in. And not just simple cut shots, I mean really, really thin cut shots. Shots that maybe you would have banked in the past. But there is a secret to it, and I want to share that with you now. The next time you come across a really difficult cut shot, what I want you to do is I want you to aim to miss the pocket. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say we come across a cut shot like this. Watch what happens when the cue ball strikes the object ball. You see it puts a little spin on the object ball, and that spin drives the object ball to the left toward that rail. So if I were to aim to miss the pocket here, the spin that the cue ball puts on the object ball actually drives it toward the rail, which drives it toward the pocket. So if I had a shot like this, if I want to cut this into the top left hand corner pocket, I would aim to miss the pocket. But the spin that the cue ball puts on the object ball makes the object ball spin toward the corner pocket. And once again, I'm aiming to miss this shot. And the ball goes right toward the corner pocket. I almost had too much spin on that one. Now here's a really, really thin cut shot, but I'm still aiming this toward that arrow to miss the pocket. And look, goes in like magic. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you to a really cool game called Kicksafe. I created this game in the 1990s, and it's a great party game. It's a great gambling game. It's a little bit like One Pocket. And basically what the game is, you're always shooting the one ball, the lowest numbered ball on the table. You're always shooting the one ball, and on each shot you're playing safe. So here I just played a safety, and now my opponent would come to the table, and he would have to make a good kick on the one ball. So here, my opponent comes up, and he's going to kick at the one ball. And he's made a good hit on the one ball, but he hasn't hit a rail, so that's a foul. So my opponent gets 1 point. And here I am, since my opponent made a foul, I get ball in hand. So I'll place the cue ball here, I'll play another safety. And now it's my opponent's turn again. Now he has to make a good kick on the one ball. So he'll get up there and he'll figure out the best way to kick at the one ball. And once again, he's made a good hit on the one ball, and it hasn't gone in, and he hasn't hit a rail, so that's a foul. Now my opponent has 2 points, and once he gets 9 points, he's out of the game. And you can actually play this game with 4 people, 5 people if you want. It's really a fun game. Now it's my turn. Now whenever you pocket a ball, it gets spotted. So here I am, I'm playing safe, knowing that that ball is going to get spotted. Now, as the game moves on, you get playing it for a little while, like half an hour or so, the ball starts spreading around the table, and it's a little bit more difficult to play safety. You have to be a little bit more creative. You know, in the beginning of the game, we have clumps of balls that you can hide behind, but as the game goes on, the balls start to get spread out, and it gets a little bit more difficult. Here, I've made a kick and I've pocketed the ball, which means it's now my opponent's turn, and he gets to spot the one ball. Now it's his turn to play safe. So he'll get up there and probably hit the one ball real thin and hide me behind the 4 ball. And this is how the game is played. And what's great about this game is you have to be really creative. You have to have a great repertoire of shots. You have to know massays, jump shots. You have to know, you definitely have to know kick shots. You have to know 3-rail kick shots, 2-rail kick shots. Oh, if you want to learn about 2-rail kick shots, 1-rail kick shots, 3-rail kick shots, the best video out there is at my website, 0x-billiards.com. It is the best video out there. It's got every kicking system. And you don't have to be a mathematician to learn these systems. I've made it really easy for everybody to understand. So once again, this is Kicksafe. It's a great game. I'm putting all the rules and everything else on my website. So check it out, play it. It's a great game. Okay, now I'm going to show you a real cool technique on how to get more English out of the cue ball. If you look at this shot, try to spin down the table toward the 9, I almost scratched on the side. Here I try to spin toward the 9 ball, and once again I almost scratched on the side. But now watch what happens when I use my little technique. Look at this, I take the side pocket completely out of it, and now I have a real easy shot of the 9 ball. So this is what I did. I raised my bridge just a little bit. I'm shooting down on the cue ball at an angle. So if I wanted to spin this to the right, I'm jacked up a little bit, shooting down on the cue ball, and hitting the cue ball on the right side. And look how much spin I can get on the cue ball. Once again, if you need to get a lot of spin on the cue ball, you need to raise your bridge hand just a little bit And if you're going to spin it to the right, then you need to hit the cue ball low and to the right. So watch how much English I get on the cue ball. I'm going to talk to you about shooting balls in with English. And a lot of people ask me, are there any good aiming systems to use when you're shooting a ball in with English? And the fact is, there isn't. A lot of people online say they have an aiming system to use when you're shooting balls in with English. None of them work. They just don't work because there's too many variables involved once you start using English. For instance, the same shot has to be aimed differently depending on if you hit the cue ball soft or hard. So what I tell people is just set the balls up, shoot them over and over and over and over again. But there is a secret to shooting balls with English. And here it is. Here I'm aiming the ball with center low. And as you can see, the cue ball did what it was supposed to do with center low. Now this is the exact same shot. I'm aiming the exact same way with center low. And look at that, I was able to spin the cue ball. Now let me set the shot up again. Here I'm aiming center low. I'm not adjusting my aim for the English at all. And I'm able to spin the cue ball. Okay, and just to show you that I'm not making any adjustments with my aim, I'm going to go ahead and shoot this in exactly where I'm aiming it. And watch the cue ball just come naturally back with the center ball English. Now, this is the exact same shot, except on this one I'm going to put left-hand English on at the last second. Here's another shot, I'm aiming center ball, and I'm able to put inside English on the cue ball. And here's what I'm doing. I'm aiming center on the cue ball. Everything is center. But I'm going to slow this down at the very last millisecond, right before the tip strikes the cue ball. I'm moving my stick toward the right side of the cue ball, or the left side if you're using left-hand English. Once again, I'm aiming center, but the last millisecond, I'm hitting the cue ball on the right side. Here I'm aiming low, and at the last second, I'm going to hit the 8 ball with low inside English to hold it for the 9 ball. Now here you can see the arrow is pointing toward the shadow where my stick is when I'm aiming, and now look where my stick is after I shoot. So this one I'm just aiming center low, and at the last second, I'm putting on the English. Okay, to show you how powerful this technique is, I'm going to shoot this 8 ball in, not only make it, but I'm going to play shape in the 9 ball. And by using this system, and I do use this system when I'm playing, I can probably make shots like this 8 or 9 times out of 10. Let me shoot that ball again. This time I'm going to shoot it in a little bit cleaner. That ball kind of wobbled. But I'm telling you, it's so much easier to aim when you don't have to aim using English. Here I'm just aiming center low. Center low at the last second, I'm putting on the English. And it just makes everything so much easier. Now in the next shots I'm going to show you, these shots people have a big problem with. But here I'm just aiming center, and I'm putting on the English at the very last second. The reason that's so powerful is because these shots are really difficult to make when you have to aim using inside English. But if all you had to do was aim using center ball, it's so much easier to line things up. Here I'm aiming center, the very last second, I'm putting on the English. Okay, I'm going to run out this entire rack, but I'm going to be aiming center ball on every single shot. And I'll still be able to spin the cue ball around the table. For instance, here I'm shooting the 2 ball, and I'm aiming center high, but I'm still able to spin the cue ball down there for the 3 ball. So I'm aiming center, but I'm striking the cue ball with English. But every time I get to a shot, say the 4 ball, I'm lining everything up as if I'm going to hit the ball with center ball English. Everything is lined up using center ball English, but I'm striking the cue ball with English. So in this shot here, I'll be aiming center high, but I'm going to hit the cue ball with high right hand English. And the same with this shot here. I'm going to be aiming center high. At the last second, I'm going to be hitting the cue ball with high right hand English. And this 8-ball here is just a center low aiming shot, but the last second I'm going to put on low right hand English. And here is just center cue ball. The last second I hit it with center left. Now when you get done with this video and you want to take your game to an even higher level, go to my website www.0x-billiards.com. I've got the best kicking video out on the market, bar none. It's got 1 rail kicks, 2 rail kicks, 3 rail kicks, end rail kicks, side rail kicks, and it's the only video on the market that contains a 0x kicking system. The easiest system in the world for kicking, and you don't have to be a mathematician to do it. And for a limited time, anybody who downloads my kicking video will get absolutely free my next video, 0x banking. This video takes out all the guesswork of banking. These are the secrets the top bankers use, and these are the secrets you have to know to be a top level player. I'm giving it away absolutely free to the first 200 people who download my kicking video.